me.
I seen a video you made about me.
Yes, I did. Lynn asked me to do here's the funny thing is she asked me to do this video on the weekend, and I had no makeup on or anything, and I'm like, "How am I gonna do this without putting makeup on or without going to all this?" Even though I love Tim, I don't wanna put makeup on and all this other stuff, so I found a filter and said, "Alright, done."
What I want to know is did you do it while you were in North Carolina?
No, I had already gotten home by then.
Okay.
But, oh
Did
my
you? Were you?
god.
Wait a minute. Were you surprised that at first I thought it was one place, but I figured out it was North Carolina?
Yeah.
Well, no. I forget who else was there, but basically two of you are posting, and one of you is going, "Guess where I'm at," and the other one's telling everybody where they're at.
Judy was saying, "Guess where I'm at?" And I was
I
saying,
know.
"We're in North Carolina." I wasn't hiding it. No.
So, but yeah, so like I think so Judy was playing the guess game, right? And at first, when Judy did that, that resort looks very familiar if you've ever been to the Greenbrier in West Virginia.
No.
All right. Very similar scenery, right? All right. It's beautiful scenery. It's just that part of the country's got nice rolling type hills and trees and stuff. All right. But at first, that's what I thought was Greenbrier. But then when then when I seen yours, and I'm like, and you said Asheville, North Carolina, I'm like, I know where they're at now. I've been there.
I didn't realize she was doing the guess game.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, well, I mean, how many people though are friends with both of you?
Yeah, that's true. Well, there's a few, but still, I mean, it's like a postcard out there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's called the Omni Park Hotel, and they have this gorgeous golf course and a spa. I mean, this place was built originally in 1901 or 1902. And the elevator that's in there's like a main hall, which was originally built, and then they added onto it on both the sides, which are more modern. And we were in the main hall, which was the older piece. Oh my God. This elevator has to have an elevator person to get in, close the gates, close the door, lock you in, and then you go up the steps. And it's not a big elevator. So if anybody has claustrophobia,
probably not your place. Yeah.
Not a good thing. But it was so much fun, and it was so gorgeous. The whole area. I've never been to North Carolina. Never.
Was Linda Kay there as well?
Yes, she was.
Okay, yeah, she's in my mastermind as well.
Yes, she was. She came up to me. She was very sweet. She came up to me and she said, "I'm so glad you joined this group. I can see the change in you." And I'm like, "You can?" She said, "Yes, I can. I'm so glad you joined." It's like, oh,
cool. Well, here's the funny thing is both her and you are in my mastermind, right? And on my mastermind call, hardly ever are the two of you on my Wednesday night mastermind call together.
Yeah.
It's like the week you show up, she doesn't. The week she shows up, you don't.
I don't. Yeah, I know. We don't show up together. I don't know. Mixing. Anyway. I know she's in California, I think, right?
She lives in California.
I believe. Yeah. Although it's kind of funny talking about that. I've had quite a few more friends saying, "I'm getting out. We're moving here. I'm getting out. We're moving there."
So, here's the bottom line of the "I'm getting out" thing. All right, I seriously, this is a great subject for me to actually dive into. Currently, I am we're fixing this place up. All right, and the construction guy is not here today. Keith, Tony's husband, is doing all my handyman, all my little details that need to be patched up. This bathroom behind me, all right, in the past 4 days has been stripped of wallpaper, repainted, all right, and like we still have details in here and a few details downstairs to finish up. But we are fixing this up and getting out of our living in a condo life. And when you talk about, I thought about this, all the people who are leaving California. I left Pennsylvania. I did the same thing. I'm getting out, right?
But you got out a long time ago, though.
Oh, no, I got out of Pennsylvania a long time ago because what a lot of people are frustrated about with California, maybe it's Chicago, maybe it's New York, whatever. A lot of us, and this is why I want to bring it up as an example, right now, I'm frustrated with where I am in condo living.
Yeah.
Right? We all get frustrated, right, in our worlds or where we're at.
Just a little bit.
And we go, I want out, right? The main problem was I went out of condo living, but I'm still going to live in probably same area, same town. But the idea is I'm getting out of condo living because of different reasons. All right. Not because, oh my God, I hate the people here. I hate kind of, no. The president and I sat and watched a ball game to talk about business the other night in her condo in our pajamas.
Yeah.
I'm friends with the people here and I love them. But the condo life for us, and when we looked at this, because it's so easy to get, oh man, I want out. And then you get out and you get stuck in a new problem.
Well, and that's what a lot of people that I'm reading about are having that issue. They're having that regrets. They've moved from California or from Florida, whatever. They've moved to a new place. Now they're there and they're starting to experience it. And now they're going, I didn't know this was going to go on. Yeah. I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't realize that this was going to, why did I? And now they're saying, I want to get back. I can't wait to get back. So I think in general, a lot of times when people take that leap, they don't always look at it thoroughly and see everything and what is this and what is that. And when you ask them why they're moving, like you said, they say, oh, I hate the people. I hate the cost. I hate this. I hate that. I just got to get out. So I think it depends on, and who knows? I mean, I personally think where we move to, I'm very good with and I'm fine. But it's interesting because people will ask me who've been here a little bit, who moved earlier than we did from California, and they say, how do you like it? I said, I love it. What about the weather? Love it.
Yeah.
You like it, huh? Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
I want to go back. I want to go back. It's like,
nah. It's like I don't ever want to go back to Pennsylvania. I go back and visit, but there was a possibility years ago that Gwen's company was going to be bought by a company out of Philadelphia. Ooh. And she's like, that would mean we'd have to move back to Philadelphia. I'm like, I really don't want to live in Philadelphia. I love visiting Philadelphia and visiting my friends, but I don't want to live there anymore.
Yeah.
It's just my life has changed. The other thing that like now, I mean, I'm honest with people why I'm moving out of the condo. During the pandemic, when Gwen and I had to office from the house, we realized that 2-bedroom condo was too small.
Not big enough. Yeah.
Not big enough. Right.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen again. They're probably not going to get locked into our houses again. All right. I don't think the country's ever going to go to a full lockdown like that ever again. All right. But we want to prepare for that so we can have a separate offices in case we do have to work out of the house. Number one. Number two, I want a yard finally. You know what I mean? When we moved here, we had a small yard. We lived on a lake. It was a great life. But we moved here. We wanted a small place because we were making our kids move out and get out on their own. And we wanted to make a house so they couldn't move back in. If you have adult kids in their 30s, you may understand
it. Get a bigger place.
Yeah. So, but now
they come back.
Now our kids are, they're solid in their own lives. All right. As a matter of fact, our oldest, Ruben said, well, you can come stay with us. Stay at my house. He's got a huge house, like bigger than the house we had. Right. And I'm like, no, we really want our own place. Right. But I want a house. I want a place that I got to get up and mow the lawn on Saturday morning. I don't want, I don't want 5 acres of land to mow the lawn, but like a front yard, I got to mow. I want to actually have an outdoor living area.
Yeah.
That I can make comfortable. Right now, my outdoor living area is, I can't go out there in the summertime because it's mosquitoes everywhere. Yeah.
Well, and everybody looks at things differently in regards to, we moved from California because we were in a 10,000 square foot lot and that's all we were doing on the weekends was yard work.
Yeah.
So
you got to build a proper size.
That didn't have, and we're going to have that house. So it's going to have a smaller yard, but it's going to be taken care of. And it's all, desert type thing. So it's not like there's a lot to do. And that was our intent. But like I said, people move, but they don't really investigate, I think, the areas that much. They just see, oh, everybody's moving there. And the biggest thing, the big exodus to Texas, the main reason that people moved to Texas was because of the taxes. That was the main reason. And then I was reading things, as we know, our best good buddy, Tony, she moved out there and so forth. And I was starting to read things online. And now people that moved out to Texas from California or other parts are saying, I hate it here. I don't like it. Other people love it. But a lot of the reason why people move was the cost. When you look
wait a
at
minute.
it.
Let's hit the taxes thing. So a lot of them moved here and then drove the price of real estate up. So now we have to pay higher taxes.
I didn't. But it's going up everywhere. It's not just there.
I know real estate's going up everywhere.
Everywhere.
I know. I just sold. I just accepted an offer this week on my rental, my old unit that I lived in, and I'm getting more than double the price that I paid for it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm more than I'm like about 120% more than when I paid for the thing.
It's still a seller's market, but and the sad thing about the housing market in general is that right now we're one of the last generations that are going to be able to afford to buy a house, is what they're saying. That the generations coming up aren't going to be able to afford to buy it on their own. They might have to go in together with somebody or need help doing it, but they're not going to be able to do it on their own because of the cost. And it's just gonna, I know a lot of people blame it's that Californians, they moved to Utah and everything went up. They moved to Idaho and everything went up. They moved to Texas and everything went up. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's gone up everywhere. And it doesn't matter if it's
gone up, and most people will not seek the proper. Here's the truth. They won't seek the proper advice. I wanted to expand my rental property business, right? And I was asking the wrong people for advice on how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm asking a marketing group on how to do it. Doesn't work that way. Until I realized that I went and joined a group, a mentorship group that works with helping people build their real estate investment and a rental business.
Yeah.
That's their whole purpose. It's like, if you're not able to do something, buy a house, it's because you are not seeking the right advice on how to do it. Right?
True.
You want to learn how to do a podcast. All right. I'm going to tell you right now, don't ask me to teach you how to do a podcast. Call Dave Jackson. He's the top in the industry to teach you how to do a podcast.
I'll teach you. I know all about it.
Yeah. You want to learn how to officially use a blog by thinking anything to do it? I can tell you how to do that. Trust me, I can tell you inside and out, upside down how to do that and do it well. But so often people are coming in, well, I can't buy a house. Have you got advice from someone not pat on the back? Oh, you can do this advice. No, real advice on how to do something. Right.
Well, and when you're talking about advice in business too, I think a lot of times as business owners or entrepreneurs, we make the mistake of asking our colleagues.
Well, we don't.
Or our
right?
family.
When you want to build a business, you don't ask. I mean,
no,
I want to learn marketing.
But that's what we do. We ask them, what do you think? And they're like, well, but they don't know. They know nothing about that. So we're just like with real estate, you're asking the wrong people, and you have to ask the right questions. And that's the hardest piece, is sometimes people don't know what that right question is.
Yeah, well, that's it. And you got to get the right people. That you got to find the right person so they'll get you to the right question.
Yep.
And sometimes the answer is not all lovey-dovey. It's hard answer, right? Okay, you need to cut things like you want to get a house. Okay, you need to cut your expenses back for about 3 years and save some money.
Yeah, and when
people
you get
don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. There's a world of people out there, and right now the investment world. And it's actually, somebody actually put it as a joke on Facebook. One of my friends said, the crypto world is so bad that the crypto experts are now teaching people how to do Facebook ads again. I thought that was so funny. But anyway, but my point is there's a world full of people, and this will actually transition into our topic today, is there's a world full of people out there trying to tell you how to do things.
Yep.
And they're going by whatever the hot topic is of the moment. Well, everybody's talking about crypto, so I'm crypto advice guy. Come to me for crypto advice.
They're always there. They're like all of a sudden the expert. And that's like when we went through the COVID thing. And people had nothing better to do than to, sit and stew. So some people went online and they started learning out websites or marketing or social media. And now all of a sudden they're the expert. And it amazes me how many people will come to me and say, can you redo my website? Well, why aren't you going back to the person? They just disappeared on me. well, how long have they been? They weren't in business. They were like a year, and then they just disappeared on me. And then they didn't even give me what I wanted. Or da 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 da. And it's like, so even though people try and get the cheap in and say, well, I'm going to get this for so little cost and da 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 da. Sometimes they get what
my clients on the web business. I outsource it. Yeah. I have 2 companies to outsource it to.
Yeah.
For the website, you're one. John Limbacher's the other. I just sell the product, and I have either you or John fulfill it.
Yeah.
If you don't fulfill it, I go to John, everyone from now on. If John doesn't fulfill it, I come to you, everyone. If you both screw up, I go find somebody else to fulfill it. You've
got those resources. And that's, but I think, I mean, that's a big thing. Like we were talking about, the topic is that I think it's gotten to this point where we're kind of in this mentality of narcissism a little bit.
I gotta agree with you on that.
They're the experts, and everybody thinks that, oh, you're gonna wrong me, so watch me wrong you, and I'm gonna take you down through social media, blah blah blah. Because we've talked about the cancellation culture, and a lot of that has to do with influencers out there, because as we know, influencers have a big following. And they can really do well at selling your product, and they can also destroy destroy you if something doesn't go right. And I know the reason why I brought this up is because there was a topic about an influencer that had an issue with a company, and now she's going after that company. And it's kind of like, who's right and who's wrong? Is the company right? Is the influencer right? I mean, and even though some people feel they've been wronged and that they're going to right that by taking that business down, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the way to go about it. But as business owners, a lot of times we kind of get into that where we have to manage that, because if we have a client that's not happy with us, the first thing they do is they go on social media. Oh, you don't want to use that Tim Gillette because he screwed me over one side and down the other, and la 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 la. And then a lot of times as business owners, we ignore those, or we just say, well, if I just leave it alone, it'll go away. Yeah. And that's the wrong way to do it.
Well, for years it was, I remember it was the Yelp. And I tried to work with, I was working for helping blogging and content creation for Craig Batley out there in California, down there, Newport Beach, California. And their number one concern they had was their Yelp. All right. And that's because Yelp was known for years. That's the place people go to complain. They don't go there to put down good reviews. They go there to complain.
They go to complain.
The way to offset that is you have to build a whole reputation management thing with every client you have to get the good clients come in and go get them leaving you Yelp reviews. Yep. Robert Seidel in Las Vegas, another person we know. Robert Seidel did that. He turned it on its head by going, this is what I really have to do. He got every client or everybody he talked to, hey, would you please go leave me a good Yelp review?
Yeah.
I'll help you, or I'll take your phone call. I'll give you a free hour consultation. At the end of the consultation, well, I'm not your lawyer. I can't be your lawyer for this deal, but here's who I recommend to go to. For that recommendation, could you go leave me a good Yelp review? And that is how Robert Seidel turned the Yelp thing on its head. And that's what most people don't do. They just come in, well, how do I get rid of all these complaints? Number one, the people are going to the site because that's all they do. That's all they go to the site for, is to complain. Build a system to share with them how to tell people you're good. Yeah. All right. That's what people need to do, because an influencer, all one influencer has to do is put out to his email list that he's got 20,000 people that you're bad. Well, 20,000 people, if you only need 100 customers a year, is a big damage.
Yes, big, huge.
20,000 people of an influencer has 20,000 people following them all across the United States could be one problem. But if that one person, or that 20,000 people, and they want to put a complaint against the bakery in their town, and let's pick a town, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Right, there's 15 of their followers are in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah,
of the 20,000, they're not going to do a lot of damage there.
No.
All
but
right. Yeah.
But if they're in Southern California, like Cindy Lee is, and thanks for joining us, Cindy, it may make a big, huge difference.
Yeah.
And the thing is that a lot of companies, they tend to ignore it. In fact, in California, we had a restaurant that was, and I won't name the name, but there was a client that came in. She was really upset with the way the manager handled everything. So she went on social media and she just went off. He could have handled it by going on and saying, you know what, how can we make this right for you? What can we do? Blah, blah, blah. Instead, he went on the defensive side and said, well, you did this and you did that and you blah, 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 blah. And he ended up losing a lot of business because he went on the defensive side. Yeah. Whether he was right or wrong doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
but let's turn this on its head to narcissism. Because of the fact, all right, of the influencers can be very narcissistic, all right, and I get it. But the guy who went off and tried to defend himself is just as narcissistic, and that's why he screwed himself,
Exactly.
When you take yourself out of some of these problems, you can find a solution a lot faster.
I agree.
So.
Yep. I agree. And they say that the more you talk to them on social media and saying how, let's make this right. I mean, they say you always want to respond to a negative review, always. Whether you say, I'm so sorry about your experience. How can we help you make this right? What can we do? And your audience is going to see you're trying. Even if the person keeps coming back and saying, well, you did this and you did that. Okay, so how can we make this right? What can we do? And if they keep complaining and they keep seeing that you're responding, they're going to realize, okay, it's not the business, it's the client. Yeah. And that's how you counteract that. But if you're going back and forth and saying, oh, yeah, well, blah, 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 now you're not looking any better than the client is. And a lot of times we tend to do that because we get our bristles up and we're just like, really? I'll show them. They're not going to take me down. So, and you want to respond when you're level-headed, not when you're upset, which is a lot of times what we do with emails.
We do.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
No. Have you ever heard someone type?
Yep. You can tell how pissed they are.
Yep. Yeah. It reminds me, do you remember the movie, with Gerard Butler, Law Abiding Citizen?
I don't know if I've seen it.
So basically what happened in that movie, I mean, there's two movies like this. Number one, Gerard Butler. The other one is, I can't think of the actress that did it. But Gerard Butler basically watches, all right, his house is robbed, all right. Two men break into his house to rob him. They rape and kill his wife and his daughter. And they tie him down and he watches. But he survives.
Now I know why I didn't watch it.
But that's the concept, is it? They watch it. Well, then he tries to do everything in the court, and basically they make the courts make an agreement with the guy. All right, so like a deal's worked out.
Oh, all right. So he doesn't really get the time he feels he deserves because of what happened.
Yeah. All right. He's like, basically the district attorney said, well, I mean, we do the best we can. The idea is to get them to serve some time for this. But if we would have went to trial, there's a good chance we would have lost. All right. And that pissed Gerard Butler's character off.
Yeah.
So then they moved the advance 10 years. 10 years later, he comes back, and the one guy was like on death row, and it was being lethal injection. And he put deliberate chemicals in to make it painful.
Oh, wow.
All right. That they had to watch. And he got he triggered it in. The other guy that was involved with it, he had like the cops come into his house, and he basically called the guy and said, listen, I'm here to help you, buddy, in a disguised voice. Said, go out your window, go to the right. Had the guy run all the way out and basically ran into a field where there was a cop car. And he basically gets this other guy who did it. He gets in the cop car, puts his gun, or grabs the cop's gun and puts it to his head, right? And the cop is not a cop; it's Gerard Butler's character.
Got it.
And he basically created a gun that triggered it, so that if he pulled the trigger on the gun, it would squeeze needles into his arm and freeze it.
Oh.
And then Gerard Butler on film tortured and killed him. Like, and if they don't show the gories of it, but they explain it.
Ugh.
And because of those two criminal acts, then they go to arrest Gerard Butler because everything points to him.
Yeah.
And he's just he takes all of his clothes off, stands naked like this for them to, when they're pulling up, goes to jail. And then through the whole movie, he's like doing all this stuff to get even, I mean, get and kill all the people involved in the court system that did this 10 years old, like who basically let the criminals get away with by taking deals. And one by one, and everybody's like, well, how is this guy doing this? He's in jail. He figured, I mean, he spent 10 years digging a tunnel underneath the jail to come up to solitary confinement.
Wow.
So that he could be in solitary confinement.
So
and he
figured it all out.
And go do all this. And they eventually caught him. But still, that's 10 years. All right. He didn't come out and go, well, let me, he took time away and built his system to get even.
Yeah.
Right?
Get his revenge.
Get his revenge. A narcissistic person is so caught up in their narcissism that they would not set themselves back to plan a get even.
No.
They will dive in and in most cases kill themselves trying to put the other guy out.
Because they will work to prove they are right.
Yeah.
Every single
time.
Every single time. And that's the big thing, is that when you start to argue with them online, they're never going to see that they're wrong, because in their mind, they're always right. Never wrong.
I know. And to me, social media has done nothing but create a breeding ground for these people.
Yeah. Like, I'm not wrong. I'm right. Yeah. And a lot of businesses have had problems with this, and they've lost business. They've lost clients, all because somebody decided that, you know what? You wronged the wrong person, buddy. Watch this.
I'm going to go with my 3,000 followers, and I'm taking you down.
Yeah. And I think it's difficult for businesses, especially entrepreneurs that are small business owners. They don't have all the resources a lot of times to fight this like big businesses do. So it's kind of hard for them sometimes. But like I said, the best way they can do it is through social media. Mm-hmm. And what begets hatred is love and kindness. Mm-hmm. So you just put that honey on there, and you just keep putting that honey on there, and you just keep putting that honey on there until finally they get so damn sticky they can't move, and then everyone else is going, yeah, we see who the real culprit is.
Yeah.
And then they're done. And and I've seen that happen too, where there were some influencers that went after a company and they decided, all right. And they did that honey until they got so sticky. Their audience started seeing what was going on, and they lost their whole influencer backing.
They did.
Businesses, supporters, everything. Because this company, all they did was this honey. Okay. And I think that is the biggest thing that was a takeaway for me on this, is that I think the more honey you put out there, the more you're going to get. And a lot of people say, no, you're just going to get walked over.
Oh, well, I know. I mean, I'm in a situation right now, and I can't give the details out. All right. Because it's just what I'm going through. But I'm in a situation right now that basically someone's trying to do this to me. And I'm like, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yep.
I'm not fighting them. I'm standing back and not fighting them. Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Ruin me.
Yep.
By all means, please help yourself.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be mean or cruel, because I'm going to do exactly that. I don't have to dump the honey on the situation, but the fact that I'm not fighting back, because I'm not the narcissist in the situation, and I don't care what the outcome is you think you're going to get. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I'm not going to fight them, because if you get involved in a fight, it does. All right. Even if you can say you're not narcissist, if I get into the fight with this person, I am going to become and develop narcissism.
Yep.
It happens every time.
Yep.
Guys. All right. And that's why so often you got to understand the best thing you can do is back off and just put honey on the situation. Oh, man, I'm sorry you feel that way. By the way, would you like a cup of coffee today? I'll buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give you some free advice? Here's some free advice. No charge. I'll help you out with this or this. And that's the thing, is people don't know how to deal with the honey, because they're expecting you to come back with guns and everything, and that's what they're expecting. And when you come back with honey, they're like, wait a minute, this is why aren't you pissed at me? Oh, I'm not pissed at you. This is a good lesson we can all learn. Let's blah, blah, blah. And then finally they just, you know what, forget it. This isn't worth it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. So, and you know, it's that those are the people who can grow. You know, one of the things that I never really thought about this until I did that video. I did the show with Lynn the other day, and literally listened to some of the things that people said about me. And I'm like, well, I never really thought of myself that way, but boy, that's good to know that I do that. It's like, one of them was Bob Donnell. And what Bob Donnell said, you know Bob too, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Bob. I met Bob. I think it was either a James's event or Craig's event. I can't remember which one. I met Bob at the first time, but I do remember our first meeting was whatever the back of the room was, and basically it was a lunchtime. Our conversation went all the way out to the bar. All right, we talked for hours at the bar during lunch. But Bob said, he said, Tim's always a guy who's always trying to look and learn through a situation. And I'm like, I literally, that shocked me. I'm like, I guess I am. I never really thought about that. I just was doing what I thought I needed to do.
Yeah. And I think that's what we can all learn as entrepreneurs, is that we learn from the situation.
Well, yeah.
We see how we can manage the situation. We learn from it. We move forward. And then if it happens again, we know exactly what we need to do, because we've already been there. We've already dealt with it. But I mean, it just blew me away that in regards to going back to the narcissism, we're dealing with it with customers that are expecting to get 50 cents worth of stuff for 10 cents. Yeah. We're dealing with it with influencers. We're dealing with it with even management and corporate.
Yeah.
Don't even take accountability. Oh, no, that's not my fault. Weren't you responsible for that? I'm pretty sure it's your fault. It's always, this pointing fingers. And I think that as a society, I think we're starting to get to that point where somebody has to take accountability for their actions. And
I think this is what more. And I know you had it in the question here to ask. Well, how can entrepreneurs deal with this? Is entrepreneurs I think they should always have the mindset of the buck stops here. Yeah. That's always been my thinking. Yeah.
I'll take care of it. What can I do to fix it?
Yeah.
And I try my best to always do that. And if I've screwed up, or if I've got a client, things aren't working out, I'll call and say, this doesn't seem to be working out. What about you? Maybe I can push you into someone else that might help you better than what I'm doing, because this isn't working. And a lot of times they'll say, no, this is good. We'll work it out. It's just a matter of knowing that whether it's their fault or not. Mm-hmm. The way I was raised is the customer's always right. But it's gotten to that point, though. Now we're dealing with the Karens and
the Karen customers who are going, well, I know I'm always right. I'm the customer. Yeah. And taking it the other extreme.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that end of it? I mean, there's that one most of the customers are not going to be that. But when you've got that Karen customer that's in your face and going, you didn't do this and you didn't do that and you didn't do it. Now you're just like, okay.
When I worked automotive, I've worked automotive industry in 4 states, right? Pennsylvania.
That's a major industry.
I've done this in 4 states, and I want to tell you, almost every automotive shop I have ever worked at had one sign that was put in the front of every shop.
We can refuse service.
We have the right to refuse service.
Yep, and they do it. Go find someone else to work on your car. Bye.
That really, it comes back to what I said earlier. When the narcissist hits you, you just go, you know what? You're right. Why don't you take your business elsewhere? I'm good. I don't need your money. Yep. Here's your money back for what I did. I don't need your money anymore.
Yep. Have a nice day.
Yeah. I started doing mine for people getting into my mastermind. I started interviewing people beforehand. All right. And the reason I did that was, and I just had this like 2 weeks ago, I had a gentleman who went through the website, all right, signed up for the session to talk with me. And after I got into the session with like 3 questions, I realized he's not ready for me. He is not ready for me. I could help him, but he's not, number one, he's not ready. Number one, he doesn't have the finances. He doesn't have a list. He doesn't have any of these things set up. And he doesn't even have identified who his clients are going to be. So he really was not away. So immediately I went, dude, and he was really ready to pay the $7,500 to join my program. He was ready with the money to do it because he knew. And I'm like, dude, I'd love to take your $7,500, but you'd be wasting money with me the first year because you are not set up. Before you join my program, let me introduce you to this guy, John Limbarker's got this great program over here that I know about that would help you get started for under $1,000 right now and help you set up to work with me next year. I saved this guy $7,500 because his first year he needed a $500 course to get to work. You know, that I think if more of us, especially in the coaching and you and websites online, that would save so much of us, so many of these headaches. I think if we started identifying what the customer really want rather than trying to sell them, trying to sell them, all right, what we have, and fit the needs they said they had. Right.
Well, and that comes into the play too with the websites. I mean, I'll talk to clients, and just like within your case, they don't even know who their client is.
Yeah.
They don't know what their purpose is. They don't know. They have no idea. All they know is they need a website. And I tell them, you know what? Right now, you really need to know who your client is, what your message is, because you're just going to waste time getting a website up that it's not going to work for you because you don't know what your message is.
But wait a minute. Let me think about this a little bit. I mean, I know this is taking a little bit off subject, but I want to do this because you just mentioned that. If someone came along like that, you meet them, I meet them. All right, they're both situations. They don't know where their clients are, but they're like, well, I need a website. Well, yes, eventually you're going to need a website. Maybe we tell them, why don't you put up a one-page information website about you right now?
Absolutely.
A one-page. Gosh, you and I could do that in an afternoon, a one-page website, right?
Yes.
And it's not selling anything. It's just an informational site so you can start telling people, go to timgillette.com. It'll tell you everything about me. It's not going to sell you anything. It's just going to tell you about me. And I think that if they would take that advice, but most of them come in and go, but I listened to so-and-so, Grant Cardone. I listened to Tony Robbins. And they say, I got to have the website. Who are you going to sell to?
And I got to do that. Well, and then on the other end too, you've got people that say you don't need a website, just do everything through social media.
Social media, yeah. That has been
and that kills me.
I've been that one for 14 years.
That kills me because people will say, I'll just do it through social media, and then I ask them, okay, so when you've got your list there, guess what? It's their list. It's not yours. So what are you building? You're building a list for them.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Nope. Can't take them with you. Where are you going to put them? Great, you got social media. That's great. Or for a long time, it was, I've got 450,000 likes. That's great. Have you got any buys? Well, no. Do you have any clients? Well, no. That's great. You got likes. Woohoo!
I had someone one time say, you know what I mean? When I told them, they said, well, that idea will get 1 million hits on the website. I'm like, great. What are they going to do with it? Well, you'd have 1 million hits. I'm like, I could sit here and punch you 1 million times, and you'd have 1 million hits too.
Yep.
It doesn't serve a purpose if it doesn't have an end goal. This idea that we need 1 million hits to go viral. Great. My video went viral. How much money did you make from it?
Yep. In fact, it's interesting. I read an article about a gentleman. They put this video together and it went viral on them. They thought, oh, great, we've hit the jackpot and blah, blah, blah. And every video after that tanked. And they couldn't figure out why this one went so viral and none of the rest of them would. And that was a learning lesson that they were talking about, is that it was luck. It was pure luck that they had this one that just happened to go viral. But they were saying with other companies, you can't count on that. You just have to, and what people don't realize too, not to get off the topic, but as we're talking about social media, what people don't realize is that social media has a very key word in it that we've talked about on this show. What is all about with social media? To be social. To get the word out, to tell people who you are, what you can do, and how you can help them. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and trust me, the Facebooks of the world and Instagram and all the rest of them would love it if you just spent all your time on there. But if you're not making any money,
You're
what's
making
the
them
point?
money.
What's the point? Yeah, exactly. You're making them money. You're building their business and not doing anything for your own.
If you're not going to build your own website and find out who your customers are and have a place to go with them, I'm going to tell you, this is my best advice is what you can do right now. Go build yourself a MySpace page.
Yep.
Because that's how useful it is.
Or a Wix page.
Or a Wix. Well, no, Wix has got a website that you can do something with. But MySpace is like a dead and gone social media platform is what I'm getting at. All right.
That's true.
I mean, that's what people don't realize is a lot of people had. I mean, I met a girl, you know, in the early days of MySpace who found a way to build the coding in to pretty up your MySpace page.
Yeah.
Great. She made $1 million. As soon as MySpace went away, so did her business.
Yep.
And the problem is she spent all that money when she had it. She's like, oh man, money's coming in. I can spend it.
Yeehaw!
And that's the story of how many rock stars, one-hit wonder rock stars, you know, they got a, you know, $1 million mansion. And next thing you know, they're living in a trailer and the $1 million mansion's been repossessed, you know?
Yep. Well, and that's like businesses that did really, really well. And they were on Shark Tank, or they were on Forbes magazine, or they were on Eat magazine. And now crickets, nowhere to be found. Sold the business, off doing it something totally different because couldn't keep that momentum going.
It doesn't work.
And that's the big thing as a business too, is you're starting your business, and once that momentum starts to go and it starts to flow, are you ready for that to keep moving? Or are you like, holy shit, now what do I do? And of course, that's when you start to hire on people like Tim or myself to help you do some of the things you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
it comes down to, you know, the narcissist, and I've always said this in business, all right? If your first shot out is a success, it's the worst thing that can happen to you.
Yep.
I think you need to come up with something that and try something and pray, you know, not pray for failure, but bless the fact that you had a failure first.
Yeah.
Because I think what's in our narcissistic society is these people have had one too many successes after another without a failure.
True.
All right. So they think they're invincible now because they've had so many successes. I think this is where failure is good. When you fail at something, it's great learning time. If you don't fail and you go so long, well, then all of a sudden you're like, well, I can't fail. And that's where you dig in. And that's where the narcissism really creates. Am I right?
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm like Midas. Everything I touch turns to gold.
Mm-hmm.
Until one day it turns to stone. Now you're like, wait a minute, it's not working. Why isn't this turning to gold? What's going on?
Yeah, my formula quit working. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not. I don't really necessarily look at it as a failure. It's a great learning lesson. That just like with electricity, what was it? Edison said he made 1,000, not 1,000 mistakes or failures. He made 1,000.
I learned 1,000 ways not to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. 1,000 ways not to do it. And that's, as a business owner, we all learn along the way. We all make mistakes. We all do. We're not privy to not do that. I mean, it just happens. And that's how we learn. It's the only way we learn. Yeah. Personally. But I got this really cool, talking about a cool topic here.
Cool.
I thought this was kind of cool. And I know we're getting with science is really making leaps and bounds. And now they have this thing, it's called the transforming robot. That's this itty bitty tiny thing that can now go in your body. It's about the size of a pill. It can go in your body. It can release meds. It can help you with medical effects, side effects, and overcome them. It can heal. They said that they're working on it to where it can actually go in and cure cancer or get rid of it and eat it away. I mean, it's amazing what this can do. They're almost close to putting it out on market at this point, but they're still testing through it. But it shows it. It's kind of like the size, like I said, a pill that you swallow, and then it does its thing based on what it's been coded to do.
So wait a minute. So what you're saying is they finally have a magic pill?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, pretty much. They've got a magic pill. Feel groovy, baby.
I'm out.
The magic pill. Woohoo! How many fingers am I holding up?
Be sure, magic pill. Be sure to tip. Yeah, that joke there. Be sure to tip your waiters and waitresses on your way
I
out.
know.
I'm out. Yeah.
I was like, woo.
No,
Oh, God.
I see stuff like that, and it can bring fear and it can bring joy. All right.
Yeah.
I
Brings my
see the way our
husband out to
world
me.
is going, and then this is not being negative. This is just looking at things with a big picture in mind. As many of you know, I've never hid it, the fact that I'm a Christian and of Christian faith, and the Book of Revelation talks a lot about end times, and there's a lot of things like this little robot that points to end times.
Yeah, like they
All
say
right.
the chip or something in
Yeah,
your hand.
I mean, even when this came out, I'm like, oh my God, that's end times coming. I'm not a doom and gloom going, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I just watch this stuff because, again, I'm a guy who studies things, and I'm always curious, and I'm like, okay, how is that going to play into end times? All right. Does that mean that this is end times or not? I don't know. I really don't. And I won't know what end times are until I'm probably long gone. And
that's it too, is what does an end time look like? What does that mean? That we all implode and we all disappear?
Well, no, if you read the book of Revelation, I don't fully understand it. All right. It is very in-depth. You really got to study. You probably got to study it 7 times. All right. And the 8th time you study it, you'll finally get one thing out of it.
Yeah.
It's just that intense, right? But there are different signs that have come up, all right, that show things that were mentioned in the book of Revelation. They do talk about in the book of Revelation of, and I'm not doing this to be, Christianing on you all and everything, but they talk about one of the signs that maybe watch was there was going to be a time of great, great abundance, and then all of a sudden it was going to drop. And you look at our world right now, and I couldn't have told you. I mean, that's a sign. Does that mean it's happened before? So that doesn't mean the end times could be hundreds of years away yet.
Yeah.
But every time it does happen, you're living in the here and now, so you're going to think about it if you know that.
Yeah,
just
that's
life.
True.
I'm not going to be gloom and doom and go, oh, it's over. But I'm going to watch carefully for it. All right, because I know by reading the book of Revelation what could happen. So that tells me, before I go out and buy that new Lamborghini in this situation like this, because my finances are all right, maybe I might want to watch what's going on in the economy first.
Yeah. Well, and here's a thought too. I read an article that said, what do you think would happen if all of a sudden money was gone?
Yeah.
We had no money. Nobody did. That would change things drastically if you think about it, because we used to have a world where it was all about bartering. There was no money. It was, how can I help you do this for this? I'll tell you what, I'll sow this so I can get some chickens from you and some wheat or whatever. And it was all about bartering. And I know I've read articles the same thing where they talk about, into times or whatever. And the way they look at it is that once money goes away, it takes away the greed, takes away the narcissism, it takes away the will, this insatiable appetite to have power, because now what are you going to have power over? There's no money. So it would take away.
What is going to be? No, there'll be other things, because again, as I have said,
I understand that, because we're only human. We're only human.
That's it, because we're all human. Solve one problem, you're going to create another one.
Of course.
That's life.
But that would be if you just thought about it, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It would be definitely an interesting.
It would be an interesting thing.
It would be, how many people would actually survive and be able to do those and be able to barter, where others would be sitting there going, "Oh shit, I can't sew, I can't cook, I can't."
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna have to learn to do something so I can, So
that's why I'm doing construction work in my house. I hate it, but I'm knowledgeable on how to do things. I'm knowledgeable on how to buy a house and set it up.
Yeah.
I'm using the skills I have when the other things are not paying as much, because these skills do pay.
Yes.
When I say I want to get a house where I got to mow the lawn, I want to do that so I'm not lazy, right? It'd be so easy to hire somebody to mow my lawn every freaking week.
Yeah.
But I want to mow my own lawn so I'm not lazy. I'm not going to get a huge lawn that takes 2 days to mow it, but I'm going to get a lawn that I've got to take,
some
maybe
time to do it.
Yeah, an hour or 2 hours out of my Saturday morning to go mow the lawn.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And that was like my husband. He said, I like doing it because it gives me something to do.
Got something to do. That's right.
So now he's biking. So that gives him something to do. So it's, there are other things we can use or utilize to give us meaning, purpose, whatever that may be. But I just thought, it's kind of interesting that if we looked at it and what you were saying, that if things changed, it might change the narcissism that we currently have in society.
Yeah.
It might help a lot of people.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think a root to it is I think social media is a breeding ground.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For narcissism. And
well,
that's
and it's like
so
the Wild
rampant
Wild
in our world today.
It's still like the Wild Wild West. Just like, they with social media, as we notice, it's morphed. Yeah. It started as one thing, and now it's morphed into something totally different. Yeah. And nobody saw this happening because it didn't exist. So when something doesn't exist, and then you start to go through that, now, like you said, more issues and problems arise that you didn't foresee because it didn't exist. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So now those issues are arising. So how do we overcome those issues? How do we manage those issues? How do we, as business owners, and that's all we can do at this point, is manage these things the best we can so that we can manage our business and continue to thrive.
Yeah, the point that you just made right there is what we said. How do entrepreneurs have to do this? You're asking questions instead of telling.
Yeah.
You get that? Did you say that? Everything you just said was asking a question.
Yep.
Entrepreneurs, you need to be asking yourself questions, not telling yourself what to do. Asking yourself, is this the right thing? So
yeah.
I hope
and writing down how do I deal with this, and write down all of the things that, oh, maybe if I do this, or maybe if I do that, maybe if I do this. And I think if you write it down or you sit down and digest it, it helps you to better manage it than just to say, well, I'll just do this because Tim told me to.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
And so and like we said, coming up with the right questions, I think you start to come up with the right questions when you start to sit down and figure out, okay, so I need this, this, and this. How do I get that? Then you can ask, okay, Tim, I need this and this. How can you help me with? Or what can I do to? Or how can I? So you're asking those questions, and now you're asking the right questions as opposed to, can you just fix it for me?
Yeah, okay. So as we close this week out, I understand you have a really good resource for us this week.
I do. And it ties in with all the social media and everything. It's called Napoleon Cat. And what it is it's where you can manage all of your social media comments and reviews all in one place across all your social media channels. So if because that's the hardest part, let's face it, when you're putting social media posts out there and so forth, trying to keep up with all the comments and the reviews, that's difficult to do. In this particular resource, and it's called Napoleon Cat, that's Napoleon and cat, C-A-T. It helps you manage all of it in one place, and it dings you each time you get a review or comment, so that now you can go in, answer it really quickly, and it goes across all of your social media. There you go. It's a great resource because I thought, and there's really nothing out there that does this like this does. There's a couple other things that are out there, but this one seemed to be the easiest and the most reliable, as well as it went across all the social media channels that take reviews and comments. So it's a great way to manage that, because like we were talking about, your image, influencers, it's a great way to manage all of that. So having to be on your phone constantly going.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right, well, guys. All right, it's a wrap on another week. All right.
Yes.
Katrina, tell them your website so they come find you.
My website is kgwebsitedesigns.com.
Cool.
And Tim, tell us.
And my website's timgillette.com. All right. But make sure you follow us. All right. The Business G Spot on your Facebook. I'm not sure we're on Twitter, but Facebook, YouTube. All right. Go follow us there. Help us get subscribers. All right. And as well as where you get your podcasts. All right. Make sure you subscribe us on Apple, things like that. So Apple and Spotify, I know we're on. So.
Yep. Anyway. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. So. All right, I want to thank everybody who came by this week and left us comments. Looks like we had Robert. Robert, of course, thank you, Robert, for always being here. Cindy Lee stopped by. Jeff Veal, that's a new name I haven't seen in a long time. So anyway, thank you all guys for coming by on the live show. Be sure and make sure you like our pages and see us next week. Have a good week, guys.
See you guys. Have a good one.